Mr. Venter, you make a very strong claim. You're suggesting that the move contravenes existing policy. Explain to us why you believe that.
National transport policy in place that was originally formulated in 1992 and again revised in 96. And it very clearly stipulates that in order for the private sector to enter the market, South African government is not permitted to fund SAA in its domestic operations. Now, we do understand that there are certain areas in which it is legitimate for government to fund SAA, particularly on strategic routes that are not of interest to the private sector, such as maybe Beijing or certain routes into Africa. But certainly in the domestic market, there's been a lot of interest in entering this market over the years. But despite that, 9 of the 11 carriers that have entered this market have actually failed. And a lot of that has been due to the fact that they've had to compete against a domestic South African Airways that has not been constrained in any way in terms of its financial performance, and therefore the way that it operates and the way that it prices, etc.
Now, of course, Mr. Venter, reports suggest at this stage it is uncertain what the 5 billion rand guarantee will be used for. Some reports suggest that there are indications that SAA will use the money to finance a new fleet of more fuel-efficient aircraft. Why are you so certain that they are going to be using it for domestic airlines?
Well, they've actually stipulated that part of the fleet refurbishment is for the domestic market. Now, every other airline that's competing in this market has to actually generate adequate profits to finance their fleet replacement. And the fact that SAA has been able to, and Mango, has been able to incur these massive losses and still can simply go to government for a bailout when it needs to replace its fleet, that is what creates the inability for the private sector to compete. So if you look at Mango, for example, we estimate they've lost about 500 million rand over their about 6 years history. No private airline could accommodate such massive losses. And in the process, Mango has effectively taken out carriers like Nationwide, Velvet Sky, and now One Time.
Now,
so it isn't a sustainable situation.
Now, of course, you are clearly incredibly unhappy and you're suggesting that policy is being contravened. Mr. Venter, what is Comair planning to do? Are you planning to meet with the minister responsible? Are you planning to challenge the decision?
Well, we have been trying to get to see the various ministers and DGs. We have had some success to date. We've seen that the Treasury has actually said that they want to see a firm plan attached to this funding. And we just need to be very sure, and we want to make certain that when this plan is presented, that it is a watertight plan, that it does have a clear management of these funds and clear oversight of these funds, and that in the whole process, these funds are not going to the subsidy of the domestic operations of SAA and Mango.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know, of course, that there's been some ructions with the board. Some members have resigned, the minister has intervened, new people have come in, and of course, the entire process is tied to the turnaround strategy. From where you're sitting, Mr. Venter, do you think that SAA management has a grip on what needs to be done to run the airline profitably?
I think that the existing management and the board that has just largely retired or resigned did have a pretty good idea of what was required and were following a good strategy. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time that it's happened. We have seen every 4 years or so, there's a completely new board, there's a new shareholder, there's a lot of new management in SAA. And if you really go back to the cause of all of these problems, I firmly believe that this is the cause of the problems, is that there's such a high turnover of shareholders and management that it's almost impossible for anyone at SAA to follow through with the strategy and complete their plans and complete their strategy.
So lack of consistency there. Mr. Venter, thank you so much for your time.